is Chioma Innocent, and here are the top stories. Canada plans to recognize Palestinian state. Bandits on renewed rampage in Katsina state. Ononuga claims critics targeting Tinubu because he's from the south, and Senator Ningi confronts Tinubu Akpabio over excess loans. Details now. Thank you for staying tuned. The World News at 12 begins outside the shores of Nigeria, where Prime Minister Makani has said Canada plans to recognize a Palestinian state in September, becoming the third G7 nation to make such an announcement in recent days. Carney said the move depends on democratic reforms, including the Palestinian Authority holding elections next year without Hamas. His remarks come a day after the UK announced it will recognize a Palestinian state in September unless Israel agreed to a ceasefire and other conditions, and a week after France unveiled a similar plan. Israel's foreign ministry rejected Canada's announcement, calling it a reward for Hamas. Most countries, 147 of the UN's 193 member states, formally recognize a Palestinian state. Back home in Nigeria, over 5,000 people fleeing bandit attacks are currently seeking refuge in Bakori town, the headquarters of Bakori local government area in Katsina state, following incessant assaults by armed groups. Residents of more than 10 communities in Bakori and the Faskari local government areas have suffered repeated attacks by armed bandits involving abductions, mass killings and large-scale cattle rustling. Community leaders and locals continue to live under constant threat, even as security operatives and local guards intensify their security operations. Despite these efforts, the cycle of violence persists. VP News gathered that in the early hours of Wednesday, gunmen attacked the Dutsinma local government area of the state and abducted 5 persons, including a businessman, Alhaji Babangida Maigoro. It was further revealed that 2 of the victims escaped, while members of the community killed one of the attackers. Dutsinma, which hosts the Federal University, has suffered several attacks, including abductions of students from the institutions. Meanwhile, in a recent development, a chieftain of the All Progressives Congress APC in Zamfara State, Dr. Sani Shinkafi, has strongly condemned the recent killing of over 35 kidnapped victims by armed bandits in Kaura Namoda local government area of the state. Addressing journalists in Guzau, the Zamfara State capital, Shinkafi, the executive director of Patriot for Advancement of Peace and Social Development, called on the government to prosecute bandit-related offences in the state, describing the killings as barbaric and ungodly, while accusing the federal government of failing in its constitutional duty to protect lives and property. Shinkafi also raised serious concerns over alleged attempts by federal authorities to broker peace with the notorious bandit leader Bello Turji. In a recent development, the senator representing Bauchi Central Senatorial District, Abdul Ningi, has taken a decisive stance against the recently approved $21 billion foreign loan sought by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, stating that the request lacks transparency, clarity of purpose, and sound financial grounding. Senator Ningi, known for his consistency on matters of fiscal accountability, voiced concerns over transparency and equitable distribution, warning that Nigerians deserve to know the specifics of the loans and their intended impacts. Let's take a listen to Senator Abdul Ningi actually talking on the floor of the Senate.
Represent constituencies. We need to go home and say this is how these monies, when borrowed, will impact in either security, what amount in agriculture. When it comes to states, let's know how much goes into this state. President, I listened to the committee presentation and I listened to Senator Olamileko, the chairman of appropriation. First and foremost, Mr. President, this has to do with our collective inheritance. This is a loan that my generation and generation yet unborn will be saddled to payment or to paying. Yes, this is a proposed payment plan, borrowing plan, but in this document there is no indication of how these loans will be paid. That is one. Secondly, if you look at the committee's report on page 3, number 1, that the loan shall specify the purpose of which the borrowing is intended, which shall only be a long-term capital expenditure and human capital development. Going further on page 8, Mr. President, you will now take number 5 under the table. Most NDAs are unable to implement their capital projects effectively due to long delays in funding disbursement. The loans will go a long way to addressing this challenge. Inclusion of this project in the National External Borrowing Plan will enable financial closure and timely implementation. This is not specified which MDS and how much does each one cost.
You're still listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. A founding member of the People's Democratic Party PDP, Professor Jerry Ghana, has claimed that former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi will defeat any contender in Nigeria's northern state if he contests on the PDP platform. Speaking on the Monitor television program on Wednesday, Professor Ghana explained that in the northern state, Obi under the PDP will defeat any candidate as the people are very fair-minded. You will recall that Obi quit the PDP in May 2022 to lead the Labour Party during the 2023 elections. Reflecting on the PDP's roots, the PDP chieftain reminded Nigerians of the party's grassroots strength and its pivotal role in restoring democratic governance. Professor Ghana, who served in key roles during Nigeria's transition to democracy, including as Minister of Information and Cooperation from 1999 to 2003 under President Obasanjo, also hinted at equity in party zoning, adding that in 2031 it will be the turn of the North and the people are very fair and we are building a nation. Special Advisor to President Bola Tinubu on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, has alleged that recent criticisms of the Tinubu administration, particularly from northern groups, are rooted in ethnic bias rather than facts. Ononuga dismissed claims of marginalization by the Arewa Consultative Forum ACF as politically motivated lies aimed at discrediting the southern president. Ononuga urged northern political leaders to allow Tinubu to enjoy his tenure, just as the southerners waited patiently during the 8 years of former President Muhammadu Buhari. The presidential aide accused some northern elites of attempting to create division under the guise of regional marginalization, describing the ACF's position as a veiled attempt to undermine southern presidency. He noted that northerners, including the National Security Advisor, the Chief of Defense Staff, and both defense ministers currently hold key appointment in the security architecture. We'll now head into the news analysis segment right here on the World News at 12. Joining me to discuss issues today, I have Mr. Lawal Ekundayo. He's a political, social, and national affairs commentator. Great to have you here. Good afternoon, Mr. Ekundayo.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I want to begin with the very first story we have here for our local stories is that of insecurity. Bandits have gone on a renewed rampage in Katsina State. These people are terrorists. Sometimes calling them bandits is almost as if, you know, we're trying to downplay the evil that these people perpetrate in the lives of Nigerians, especially in the northern region. 2 days ago, the NSA, Nuhu Ribadu, who is a northerner, came out to tell us that insecurity has reduced drastically under this current administration. The Minister of Education also came out recently, that was just yesterday, to say that things are working well in Nigeria, but people are just being blind to the fact. Is that really what is going on? Just yesterday, an APC chieftain, Dr. Sani Shinkafi, came out to tell Nigerians that this current administration stopped the Zamfara state government from arresting high-profile terrorist Bello Turji, choosing instead to negotiate with him or to pursue a peace deal with him. Is this how we'll solve insecurity in Nigeria? If we are coupling terrorists and, you know, patting them on the back rather than actually meeting them with heavy firepower?
Okay, thank you. Now, you remember, people keep saying something that, experts keep saying something that a former leader in Nigeria said that if insecurity in a country, you know, stay more than two days, 48 hours, that government has a hand in it. And then that is what we are seeing now happening in Nigeria. I think it's attributed to Abacha. Now, that is what is happening in Nigeria. People begin to finger the sincerity of the government of Nigeria, the federal government, even the state government. People begin to question their sincerity when it comes to protection of life and property in Nigeria, because the government is just a section of the people, very small section, in which are constituted to represent the larger country, the larger population of the country. Now, the larger population are feeling insecure. They are being chased away from their ancestral homes. While the government is saying there is no problem, then the question we should ask is the government really representing the people? Is this government really representing the people? Because what they are saying is totally different from what the people are saying. Look at the case of that Benue killing that happened. Now, the president went to Benue. He constituted a committee. I said it on air that time that was not the solution, that committee would not do anything. That is a total difference from what is happening. Now, I said that what they're supposed to do, the president is supposed to do, is to give a marching order to the military, to the defense, that in 2 weeks, I want these people return back to their land. But in 2 weeks.
But Mr. Akundayo, he's done that before. When it comes to giving marching orders, the president has done that before and said to the military, look, we need you to phase out insecurity to ensure that Nigerians are secure in their homes.
That is not marching order.
But what this APC chieftain, Sani Shinkafi, is telling us now, is very different. So is he trying to tell us that the president is speaking from two sides of his mouth, when on one hand he says he gives other security agents and say, make sure you do everything you can to ensure that Nigerians are safe, while on the other hand, Shinkafi is claiming that the Civilian Joint Task Force, the CJTF, were ready. They were on the verge, just on the verge of arresting Bello Turji like this. Then the current administration directed the Zamfara state governor to stop the onslaught and opt instead for reconciliation. Right? That is what Sani Shinkafi, that is the revelation he's coming to tell us, that this administration would rather negotiate or reconcile with terrorists who are terrorizing Nigerians and causing bloodshed all over the country, rather than meeting them with superior firepower. That's why I'm asking the question, saying, is this how we'll fight insecurity?
See, that's why I told you earlier on that the people are questioning the sincerity of the government in the area, especially like insecurity. That's why I said that the president doesn't give the will. He doesn't show his determination, because, okay, look at that. You tell them to set up a committee. What does a committee have to do with somebody who came to attack other people? Now, what is happening to those people in the village? They remove them, put them in IDP camp. The question is, that land that the people were displaced from, who is occupying the land at the moment? Government has not come out to tell us who is occupying that land at that moment, because they were removed from their land and taken to IDP camp, internally displaced people. You remove them from their land and put them in their land as internally displaced. Now, the question is, who is occupying that land? Up to now, we don't know. Nobody is telling us anything, because that land is not vacant, it's occupied by some people. If nobody is occupying that land, why not return those people from that IDP camp to their land? Now, this is telling a different story, that the sincerity of the government is questionable. It's questionable. Okay, look at the case of Zamfara now. Look at what we're hearing. Look at the case of Borno, Niger State. Look at the case of Plateau. You see, look at the case. It's happening. Look at the case of Kwara. It's happening on Oyo. I remember the case of Igbo, when Igbo stood up against this terrorist. You saw what happened to Igbo now. The government sent forces to his house. The DSS went into his house to attack him in his house. The question is, why did they attack him? There was no tangible reason they give. No tangible reason. So you can see that now everybody is seeing, and everybody is questioning the sincerity of the government, the federal government, in the case of fighting insecurity. Now, it's not only about the federal, because when you talk about federal government, you are talking about the presidency, you are talking about the reps, that is the Senate and the House of Assembly, and then you are talking about the judiciary too. You are talking about the judiciary. Three of them form the federal government. Now, there is a bill on their table concerning how to put some, how to step down these insecurities, to stamp it out. They said go for state security, state policing. State police. if Zamfara can afford police to take care of its own boundary, then another state can afford their own security to protect their boundary. Another state can afford security to protect their own boundary. Now, everybody will now, each citizen will focus on the leader of his state. So if Zamfara cannot provide security for the Zamfara governor cannot provide security for his own people, then the people will focus on the Zamfara governor and be able to remove him.
But how can the people focus on the Zamfara governor when somebody who is part of the APC, who is a chieftain of the ruling party, is telling us what is actually going on? He says the JTF, they were ready. In fact, they had almost gotten this man. They wanted to arrest him hand to hand, only for the government at the top to direct the governor to stop the fight, that Bello Turji is ready for reconciliation. Can he not reconcile in the cell? Can't he reconcile when he's already caught and arrested? Why do our own security operatives have to go and meet him inside his hideout? They have these negotiations, they come out, and the man and his gang still goes ahead to keep terrorizing Nigerians, right?
Do you know why?
Okay.
Do you know why? The reason is what I said earlier on, that the governor is the chief security officer of the state, but that is on paper. In reality, in practice, it is not, because it doesn't control any of the forces. It is the president that will give order. Now, if the Zamfara governor does not want it, and if he has the power, the legislative power, the constitutional power to determine the security of his state, it will be a different story. He will not be saying that, because he can actually do whatever he wants to do with any criminal in his state. But now look at what is happening. Look at criminal, and yet the federal government, who control the forces, is telling him no, because the state governor doesn't control the forces. Look at what happened yesterday. I was coming from Badagry. I passed through my two, and I saw NURTW boys extorting money, collecting fare from dispatch rider. And I said, what has dispatch rider got to do with NURTW, for God's sake? Is that not criminal? Is that not criminal? But nobody can arrest them, because the security is being controlled by the federal government. And as long as these people are in consonance, in concert with federal government, then nobody can do anything to them. I saw a dispatch rider, NURT, collecting money, collecting fare from a dispatch rider. NURT collecting fare from a lorry carrying its load. What has NURT got to do with a company that is carrying its load from one place to another? You can see what is going on. That is why the people finger, they call the Senate and the House of Assembly the rubber stamp of the government, of the federal, of the executive, the federal executive, because you have a bill on your table. You have a bill that if we have state police and they are allowed to use light firearms, they'll be able to secure their own boundary by themselves.
All right, you're talking now about the role of the legislature, right? So let's go to National Assembly. Senator Abdul Ningi has voiced his concerns about the $21 billion foreign loan that President Tinubu's administration is seeking. He's saying that the request for that loan, it lacks transparency. There is no clear purpose of what that loan will be used for, and also how the loan will be repaid. I want to remind you that this is the same Senator Abdul Ningi who said something about budget padding last year, and he was suspended for 3 months from the Senate, right? So this is someone within the National Assembly now actually coming to show concern, to let Nigerians know that this is not how it should be. But you know what the Senate president then said: whatever bill you bring, that's to the president. Whatever bill you bring, we will sign it. Whatever you ask us of, we will do. So now it looks very much like the legislature is not independent to actually probe whatever is coming from the executive to ensure that it is for the good of Nigerians. And our international public debt continues to rise. This is someone finally rising up to speak. What should we expect this time around? Will he be suspended again?
That is, you see what they are doing with this lady Natasha now. See what they are busy with Natasha. See what they are doing with Natasha. So many unnecessary, irrelevant, very low things that have no. It's what they are busy doing in that house. That's why people don't have confidence in that house. That's why people are turning into those coalition. That maybe the coalition can fix people that are, that have the brain into this post and be able to fix it up. Because one thing is this: even the president can be properly checked and made to do the right thing by the Senate and the House of Assembly. But now they are the rubber stamp. They just approve whatever the president brought to them.
Okay.
Now,
all right.
one or two persons who don't agree with them, they just focus on that person, use the instrument of the executive plus their own instrument to be able to cage the person.
Okay. All right. Please give me a minute, Mr. Lawan Lekundayo. We have been joined by Ola Emmanuel to contribute to the conversation. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today, sir.
Good afternoon.
I'm very well. Thank you so much. Can you hear me very well?
I'm slow and clear.
Can you hear me, Mr. Ola Emmanuel?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, beautiful. Senator Abdul Ningi has voiced his concerns about the loans that President Tinubu is seeking. And, he's actually saying that the National Assembly should not have approved that loan, 21 billion. He's saying, how would this loan be paid back? There is no clear purpose for this loan. There is no transparency in this loan. How will this be paid back? I'm reminding Mr. Lawal Lekundaya that this was the same senator that was suspended last year for speaking on budget padding. Is this how the National Assembly will now treat disagreements, right? When a senator speaks in a way that they don't like, the next thing is to disenfranchise the people who voted for that person to represent them. Are we going to see a situation where Senator Abdul Ningi will be suspended again for what could look like speaking truth to power, especially since he's an opposition senator? He is a part of the PDP.
Like I keep saying, the problem of Nigeria as it is the National Assembly. Over the time, the National Assembly has not been fair to the general Nigerian society. The reason being that when His Eminence, Senator Emir Sanusi, said that the 25% of the national budget is being eaten by the National Assembly, it landed him in the trouble. So the National Assemblies are not there representing the entire interest of Nigeria. And that accounts for why when somebody stands for the truth, the person is running into trouble with the collections of people who do not have the interest of Nigeria at heart. So now that he has come to voice out, let's watch out and see, because it is the majority. The politics of democracy is a game of majority. So if all the bad people gather together against the good few, definitely it will be difficult for very few good ones to be able to win the argument. And that's exactly the thing. Now, talking about the budget ticking that we have been, sorry, I beg your pardon, the loans.
The loans,
ticking.
yes.
Yes, I beg your pardon. The loans being taken over and over. So far, we cannot point directly to anything that the loans has done for us. And we still keep collecting new loans. So that shows to you that the statement that Mr. President made that he inherited a dilapidated economy is not true. Because if you inherited a dilapidated economy, you will not be lavishing money you do. So you collect loans that has not been paid, and you are opting for a new one or collecting a new one, which means that what these senators or whoever it may concern are doing is that enslaving the Nigerians of fourth generations to come while we are still here. So they are creating more problems, which makes it possible for the Nigerians.
So the legislature is creating problems for Nigerians.
Yes.
All right. Let's look at another branch of that may actually be creating problems for Nigerians. The special advisor to President Bola Tinubu on information and strategy, that's Bello, has said that any criticism coming from northern groups is rooted in ethnic bias. That is the reason why some northerners are criticizing President Tinubu, is because he's a southerner. He has said they should leave President Tinubu alone to focus on governance. They should leave him alone, just the way southerners waited patiently during the 8 years of former President Muhammadu Buhari. So the northerners should not speak on President Tinubu's governance. They should not speak on his administration and leave him alone. Now, every day we come on radio, we talk to Nigerians about shunning tribalism. We talk to Nigerians about shunning ethnic sentiment. But is this not also ethnic baiting coming from the seat of the presidency, from someone who is the president's special advisor on information? How can he attribute criticism coming from the north to ethnic bias? saying, oh, if this person were a northerner, they would not speak. Do you actually agree with his situation? Or are we worsening the problem of tribalism that we're already facing every day? Because some would say this should not be coming from the presidency. Why does this administration abhor criticism? Whether it's coming from any quarters, who will criticize this administration or critique this administration that they will actually take in stride and say, okay, you know what, let's see how we can work on what you're talking about so we can be better.
The truth of the matter, like I keep saying, is that Nigeria being a blame game syndrome of administrations, either from the north, I could remember vividly the times of President Goodluck Jonathan, they were criticizing him. So it is a blame game, which is actually an offshoot of tribalism, sectionalism, nepotism, and the rest of them. And as it goes like that, it's a thing. But one thing that I keep saying, and I've repeated it a million times, is the lack of objectivity on the part of whoever has been cropped into leadership positions. And those persons are people who are just like stools, that they just tell them, when this happens, you are defending me.
So you are saying that the president supports what Bayo Onanuga has done? Or what Bayo Onanuga has said?
Without his approval, such statement, yes,
cannot be made.
That cannot
okay.
Be. Now, you listen recently. Now, what has happened? What has transpired? Either in the early days of this week or late last week, they were talking about somebody, 2 persons representing the over 300 tribes in Nigeria to represent the traditional scene. These are all sectionalism, tribalism that undermine the sovereignty of other nationals in Nigeria. It's a problem. It's a big one.
Okay. Mr. Lawale Kundayo, do you agree with Mr. Ola Emmanuel on what he has said concerning this situation? How do you weigh in?
Yes, I agree with him. I agreed. Now, they keep saying that the North is complaining they should leave the president, but the president criticized so many other all the other presidents now. He was one when he was in office. He criticized when he was out of office as a governor of Lagos State. He also criticized. He criticized Jonathan. He criticized. So he has been involved in criticism. He didn't only criticize. The only time he didn't criticize was when APC was in power. Now others who you have criticized are criticizing you, and somebody is saying that they should leave you alone. How is that possible? But you did the same thing. So if you did it to others, and you think you were right, and people clap for you, then you should allow other people to criticize you. If you are doing well, then nobody will criticize you wrongly. They will only praise you because they have nothing to say against you. But if you are not doing well, they have the right to speak out because you are not representing yourself. And Nigeria is nobody's business. Nigeria belongs to all of us. And the resources of Nigeria belong to every single Nigerian. Whether you are 1 year old or you are 100 years old, the resources of Nigeria belong to all of us. So if it is not getting to Nigerians, they have the right to complain. So these people who are complaining, they are complaining based on the fact that the resources of Nigeria, which the president is in control of, is not getting to them.
The problem
so
here
is,
the problem, Mr. Lawale Kundayo, is not just about the resources not getting somewhere, right? So, Mr. Olaimano, I want you to, on what Mr. Lawale Kundayo said, that the people are complaining because the resources are not getting to them. You recall that Kwankwaso came out to say that, President Tinubu is not focusing on the North when it comes to infrastructure, development, appointments, and all, that he's more focused on the South. Some people in the South believe that President Tinubu is more focused on the North. So where then is the president more focused if both the South and the North are berating him, saying, oh, you're giving more focus to the other region? But I still want to bring it back to this issue of tribalism. How can we fight tribalism amongst ourselves as ordinary Nigerians if this kind of ethnic and tribal sentiments are coming from the office of the highest political office holder in the land?
Hear this clearly. The blame game will never stop. But one thing that we're missing in the Nigerian administration of resources and decision making is this. Anybody who is elected, selected, or whatever means the person assigning the position of the presidency of the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the moment you become the president, the idea of coming from a particular ethnic group should die, resulting from objectivity. You become the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, not the president of the Federal Republic of the North, not the president of the Federal Republic of the South, not the president of the Federal Republic of the West or whatever. You become the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So those issues, if it is not enshrined into practical terms, this blame game will never stop. It will interest you to know too well that people will keep saying this and give instances of that. When Buhari was this, he favors the North. When this person is here, is about those things because there is no objectivity driving the policies of Nigeria. And that explains why people are saying
Mr. Manuel, the problem is that these blame games can degenerate into more problems, and that is what we do not want. You understand how this can be. If you recall what happened between the Houthis and the Tutsis, it started with ethnic tensions, with people feeling like, oh, these people are trying to act like they're better than us. If we continue to spew this kind of rhetoric, can we still continue to preach one Nigeria?
The preaching of one Nigeria is only in just words, not in practicality. In the preaching of one Nigeria, now, I don't want to bring another topic in now, but in the preaching of one Nigeria, like we said, is something to achieve. Then this idea of allowing those people that they want into leadership position should be given priority. It's not a do or die affair. You remember I spoke with a couple
it's looking like it is, Mr. Emmanuel. I'm sorry to keep interrupting you, but I want to remind you of some of the events that took place before the 2023 and even during the 2023 elections, where people were attacked during the elections, on the day of election, based on how they look, saying, oh, you look like you could be from this particular tribe. If you will not vote for our candidate, then leave. This is how this thing starts. And then, before we know it, we have a whole generation who has been thought to hate people who did nothing to them. Isn't that the more reason why we should be saying that whoever is close to the presidency, is speaking on behalf of the president, should be very careful with their utterances? Because a fire is easy to start, but when it starts burning like a wildfire, who will be able to stop it, right? Some Nigerians are saying the Baranonuga should be called to order to say you cannot just say things like this and try to set this, maybe the Southerners against the Northerners, to feel like, oh, they hate him because he's our brother. If it's their brother that is on the seat, they will not be saying things like this. Can we no longer hold our president accountable without someone ascribing it to one reason or the other, or saying, oh, they hate the president and that's why they're speaking against him? If the people are not happy with the policies of the administration, no matter who is in power, no matter where that person is from, can't the people speak out without it being ascribed to whatever reason, like hate or ethnic bias and such other situations like that?
We have the right to express ourselves as Nigerians. And any government that refuse constructive criticism then have an ulterior motive to ascend in that position. We can't stop anybody from saying something. Even at the leadership level in the family, when we are doing certain things that are not right, your children can call you to order and say, Daddy, this thing is wrong. Not to talk about it. So if anybody is complaining that because they said so things not going that way, the person does not have the good of Nigeria at heart. And if you ask me who could stop it, the only person that can stop such plans to be statement made by Bayoruga is the president himself. If happy statement should be able to say, no, I am not this, and this is not what I'm practicing. And if doing is not right, it is the right of Nigerians to tell me this area you are failing me. So it's not anything bad. So people from such offices now promoting hate speech, promoting technology, and trying to incite people, other people knows that the interest of Nigeria is not what they are there. They're only saying this is based on the reason that they were being given offices and they must stand to enjoy the thing thereof, not because of the interest of Nigeria.
So they are trying to pander to the president. Mr. Lawale Kundayo, yes. Do you agree that these people are trying to pander to the president to try to make it look as if, hey, as you can see, I'm speaking on your behalf, I'm letting the people know that it's not your fault, that things are not going as well as they want it to? Do you agree, Mr. Kundayo?
No, I agree. It's even beyond that. I agree, but it's beyond that. You see, the thing is this, it is said that he who pays the piper dictates the tune. So if these people are working for the president, and they are saying these things, and the president is not calling them to order, or is not removing them, then definitely that they are saying what the president wants them to say. So it's not that they are pandering to the government, the president. What the language is saying is that is what the president wants them to say. Because if your child is speaking something that you don't want him to speak outside, you are the one to spank that child or caution the child. But the president, we are not getting any caution from the president. Therefore, I believe that is what the president wants them to say, and that's what they are saying.
Okay. Okay. Because of our time, let's quickly talk about Mr. Olaimano. I'd like you to actually answer this particular question on what is being said. Professor Jerry Ghana, who's the founding member of the PDP, says that if Obi returns to the PDP, he will win the northern state. He will have northern support. Do you agree with him?
Please come again with that.
Professor Jerry Ghana, who is a founding member of the PDP, says if Obi should return to the PDP, he will get northern vote. He will win northern state. That northerners will support him if he returns to the PDP.
See, statement from people, a dignitary of that nature, we won't be able to say the right thing. And it is not my duty or my jurisdiction to begin to condemn that. But one thing I like also to understand here is that the idea of saying that if this party comes here, this will be this, is biased in nature. Are you getting what I'm saying now? So the issue is that the persons they are talking about, which is the person of Obi, is he somebody we look up to give Nigeria the bet we're talking about? So it doesn't really matter which party the person stand in for. Talking about capacities and capabilities, it is to deliver on the mandate of the change in Nigeria we're looking at here. So it does not really matter which party the person stands. And if the people are saying Nigeria Gara is saying that if it comes to PDP, he will win, that is just everybody is toasting, everybody is just hunting for whoever they can use to be able to secure the seat for their party. But I want to tell us that the place where Nigeria is today now goes beyond the idea of political party. It has to be with ideologies that brings about total transformation for the lives of Nigerian citizens to be balanced and comfortable. So anything short of that, if you're bringing in party politics, you are being sentimental.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Olaimano, for joining this conversation today. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. I'd like to get your concluding thoughts on what we are discussing today, Mr. Lawale Kundaya. Thank you so much for holding on and for being with us this afternoon. Do you agree with Professor Jerry Ghana? Will the North support Obi against their own Atiku? That's if he decides, if he gets the presidential ticket of the ADC, and also the Labour Party talking about fielding Dati Baba Ahmed. With all of these other Northerners, if they are in the race, can the North actually back Obi?
Now, the point is this. That is called the Greek gift. You know the Greek gift? You want to tell me that the disease inside a PDP that has not been cured and the disease inside Labour that has not been cured, Obi will go there and survive. Will the disease not kill him? Wike is still there now. As Wike left PDP and all his goons, and you think Obi will go there and survive it? He's not going to get anything because he will make sure that, in fact, I even doubt he will become the candidate of a PDP if he goes there. Because the disease that is eating that PDP is still very much, doing well in that place. So the disease will affect him. The same thing with the Labour, the disease will affect him. So what the best thing is for him to do is to rethink I'm talking about Obi should rethink don't take those Greek gifts they are offering you. Because those Greek gifts will just simply finish you off. If Wike is no more in PDP, I can say, okay, he can go there, I can advise him. But with this one, the Wike that's already aligning to the federal is already telling that so what? Please, you should just the idea now maybe it's old. That's why he's saying that.
Wow. So he is not considering how conducive the PDP will be for Obi if he's to return.
They will finish him now. With the Wike that is there and all those other stuff that are there, they are already aligning with the president, that the president should go the second time. So what will they do for Obi? They will now work. How would they now allow the PDP to function for Obi? Or even if the article goes there, they will finish them off. I don't advise them to go there.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lawale Kundaya, for joining me on the World News at 12 this afternoon. I appreciate your presence. Thank you. Do have an amazing day and enjoy the rest of your day. You have been listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. Just before we wrap up, let's take a look at the top stories again. You heard that Canada is planning to recognize the Palestinian state. Bandits on renewed rampage in Katsina. Ononuga claims critics targeting attacking Tinubu because he's from the south, and Senator Ningi confronts Tinubu Akpabio over excess loans. That is a wrap on the world news at 12. My name is Chioma Innocent. Please follow our social media handles at VUB903FM for coverage of your live event and brand news mentioned in our news bulletins. Do send a mail to news@voiceofthepeople.ng. Good afternoon and thank you for listening. Just stay tuned. Coming up shortly, It Matters with Solomon Ofem.